I've been and dealt with every single situation, so would be happy to say for your particular situation, here's recommendations, okay? But today it's just mostly information, so if you can go through and just say, where are we at in our situation? What would I want to do? How could I take this information and put it to work for me? So, what questions, as you're filling this out, if anybody has other questions? Yes.
I purchased a house with my IRA, and I paid the full amount
Yes.
with my IRA. So it's paid off now, and I'm collecting rent, so I'm in a nice positive
Cash
cash
flow.
flow. But now, after listening to you, I'm wondering if it would be better for me to sell that house and take the money and divide it and buy 2 houses or 3 houses.
Is leverage?
So this is a great question right here. So if you have money and you have a free and clear property, is it good to sell that property and then go buy 2 and leverage, 50%, let's say, on 2 different properties? As a real estate agent, anytime somebody says, should I sell a property? The answer is always yes. When you ask a real estate agent. If you ask me what I would do, I wouldn't sell a property. I would keep that property and refinance it. And maybe take 50% out of your equity and reinvest that into another property, putting 50% down or 35%.
I just need a different renter. I'm on a positive cash flow.
Yes, that's the other thing. One of the lessons that I learned
You do have
when
renters.
when I bought a property in 2006, one of the reasons why I did not keep it in 2007, I sold it and said I need to get something different. I did reinvest the money, just so you're aware, continue to invest, but the problem with it is I was self-managing the property and there was negative cash flow. So every time the tenant called me up and said, oh, it's gonna be a couple weeks before I can get you the rent, I was like, are you kidding me? I need this money. The real estate market has crashed, this is not fun. Every time she called up and said, oh, my toilet's leaking, I was like, I don't wanna go over there and fix that, it's not worth my time, just plug it up.
Yeah.
So one of the things that, with the positive cash flow that I look at now is I always build in to say, property management. I like to have a property manager. I don't enjoy taking those calls to say, hey, there's a leak, there's a problem, my air conditioning isn't working. I enjoy having somebody else take that call and me just saying, go ahead and pay the $150 for the service. I like that. So that was one of the things. If you don't enjoy the property management, getting those calls, property managers are great. I'm not one. So the property manager that I use charges $100 a month. Doesn't matter the rental amount. So per unit. So if you're collecting $1,800 a month in rent, it's $100 a month property management fee.
And then you pay the expense of whatever the services.
Whatever the service is, correct.
But they have people, I'm sure.
You can. So depending on the way that you set up your lease agreement, you can have it. So if, let's say that you have a home warranty, you can say, you know what, if there's a $65 service call fee, you can put it in your lease, you're gonna pay that fee. You can do many different things to set it up. They pay the city taxes on my rental properties. If they're late, they pay the late fees. And so many times, instead of collecting $1,100 a month, I collect $1,175 a month. And I don't have to be the big bad guy that calls them up and says, you're late. Property manager gets to do that. So it makes it a lot easier, and then the eviction process is not that difficult in Arizona.
And you be very picky when you pick your tenants.
Correct, if you screen them well, that was the other problem. I did not do a great job screening tenants early on. When you use a property manager, they screen background check, credit, rental history, those things. They make sure that they have employment covering at least 3 times the rental amount. So you get yourself into far fewer issues.
The best thing to do is find out where they live and go knock on their door. see how they live.
Yeah, also, different rental inspections throughout that process, you can go in there and just check on the property, make sure they're keeping it up well, so forth. Those are some good things that we've utilized. What other questions do you have?
There's always this question of like inflation, general cost of living that rises with all of this. So how does that factor into these numbers that you're using?
So this is not taking into account inflation numbers, but that's part of the reason why property values will go up, is that inflation happens. So if you just sit tight and you keep your money in a safe, secure savings account, you can collect 0.011%, which means you lose money every month because inflation rises. So as long as you're investing or beating inflation, that's gonna help you with that. But, yeah, the cost of living is gonna go up. That's why many people that say, oh, I can live off of $40,000 a year, no problem. I'm totally good with that. If I can just make $1 million, I'm good. My financial advisor can worry about that. Cost of living goes up. And when you think about it, when you retire, it's gonna be more expensive. Doesn't matter when it happens, that's just what happens. So the more money you can have, the more cash flow you can have coming in, the better off you're gonna be. But yeah, we can never control the inflation that's gonna happen. Unless you live in Greece. That's negative inflation. Any other questions? Okay, so again, if you fill this out, if you'd like to turn this in as you leave,